What's up, guys? It's Blaze from FunBox here, and I've figured out a way that we can have the theory videos with my face cam back in it. Uh, we're gonna do a slideshow. I'm not sure if I full screen, if I actually present from here, if it will mess up my recording. So I'm just gonna play it safe and just keep it here because we don't really need to see the whole thing anyway. All right, let's take a look today. We are finally going to get started with making our UI properly interactable with our attack menu, which is also targeting as well. So we've got two things that we're going to tackle in I don't know how many videos because there is a lot to do, but we're going to like it says here, we're going to do two main things, and that is actually have the attack and be able to target specific units. Okay, so let's put that in. Let's take a look at what we're going to do. So here is an image of our demo. Okay, this demo that I showed you guys from the very first video, from the overview, we're going to make it look different, a little bit different, obviously. And we're going to work specifically on the attack button down here. So let me just adjust this real quick. We're going to work solely on this attack button. Now, what do we want it to do? If you remember from the first, or from the video before this, we're going to have multiple layers of UIs. So when we click this attack button, we're going to go into the targeting menu where we can highlight the unit that we want to attack, as well as cancel out of it, just in case we want to cancel our attack. Okay. Now let's take a look at the attack button itself. So this is the actual object. Right. So if you're using a label, we're going to call it attack. If you have a dedicated sprite for your attack button, you don't need that. You don't need a label at all. If you have a main function, and we will, we're going to link it to attack menu, which is what we're going to write. We're going to write up this function in this section of the series. We won't need a hover function, although if you guys have one yourselves, you can do that. And then, of course, we have the attack menu function itself. So in this one, we're going to take a look at the new variable global.targeting. So this should be highlighted yellow, actually. Let's highlight that yellow. Okay, so global targeting. We're going to set that to true, and the game itself will have a whole bunch of different things happening while targeting is true. But it won't set to true until we access this function. Now, we're going to go into our list. Now, before I go ahead, for now, we're going to be able to target each and every single unit with the exception of the one that's currently selected. So, because we don't have teams yet, we're going to add that at a later stage. But for now, we'll be able to target whoever we want to on the field, right? I also need to get an enemy sprite, so bear with me on that. All right, we have our units, and we're going to add it to a target list. This is also going to be a brand new global variable, but I'll get to that in just a moment. And then with the C manager, so we're going to use the with function. In the C manager, we're going to do three things, and the order of this is very important, right? We're going to disable inputs. We're going to swap our attack menu, and then we're going to re-enable the inputs, all right? And it's very important that we do it in this way because it's gonna mess things up really, really quickly if we don't. All right, so let's go to the next one. All right, then of course we have the cancel button because we need to cancel out. Again, label, cancel, and then the cancel button function. Cancel button itself will do a couple of things actually. But first, we're just going to work with its basic functionality, and it's going to set the targeting to false. It's going to clear the targets list, and then with the scene manager, we're going to run event user 1 and then event user 2. What are those? We'll get to those soon enough. So just keep that in the back of your mind for now, but this is basically the logic that we're going to run. All right, now in the create event for the manager, we're going to add in two new variables. They're both going to be global, targeting, and the target's list, all right? So this is a DS list. We're also going to get the UI layers, right? So we get the layer ID for base UI and the targeting UI, and we're going to store them in some local variables here. All right, let's move on to the next section, which is in the cleanup event. Of course, when you create a list, you also need to destroy that, all right? So the data structure, when we're done with it, we need to destroy that in the cleanup event. All right then, next is the manager step event. For this one, we just need, in the initialize phase, we need to manually turn off all the UI layers. So essentially we're starting with all of our layers turned on in the room, and then in the setup phase, before anything is even drawn, we're going to turn all of that off, okay? And then at the start of the round, we're going to run event user 1 again. Okay, so again, keep event user 1 and 2 in the back of your minds because we're going to get to that very, very soon. With case ready, once the manager is waiting, we're going to run event user 0. So now we have 3 new user events, right? 0, 1, and 2 that we want in our game. And then we're going to set the UI to the base UI. Basically what the base UI is this menu here, right? Something like this. That's what the base UI is. All right, and then at the end of the round, we need to clear the targets list, and we need to set the global.targeting to false, right? We have this in our cancel button, but so far, it's nowhere in the other logic itself. So we need to, at the end of the round, turn global targeting to false. In the actual programming video, I think I have global targeting at the end already. So yeah, I think it's at the end of case ready. So let's fix that now. Let's take this, we'll cut that. I'll put that down here. Okay. So I think that's what I have in my demo. I'm not sure. I'll have to look through that again. But let's keep going. It's a bit embarrassing that I don't know my own code. Welcome to programming, guys. If you don't understand your code, then you're doing a good job. All right, so for our manager, in the global left mouse button released event, we are going to completely overhaul the programming, the code for this. So first we're going to check if we are targeting. We can only do stuff with the left mouse button in the game room if we are targeting. Okay, so we can't attack other units if we aren't targeting. And then what we're going to do is we're going to check to see if the mouse X and Y, so the mouse position, is colliding with a unit. And if it is, we are going to run these 2 lines of code. We're going to first clear the selected targets, and then we're going to add the unit that we've clicked on to the targets list. This will become more useful once we start creating skills that attack multiple enemies. But just know for now that we are going to add all of these units to a DS list, which is our selected targets. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Okay, that's cool. I might change this. Instead of a list, we might just use it as a single object for now to lower the, to lower confusion. But eventually it will be a list. So just keep that in mind. Okay. All right. Let's keep going to the next one. All right. Unit attack. This will just need a quick change. We are going to take all of the attack code and we are going to wrap that around a check. So after we check if the attack will hit, we're going to wrap that inside of this for loop here. So selected targets is a list, right? So imagine if you have a skill that says that, I don't know, let's say for example it targets all of the units on the field with the exception of yours, right? You want to run for each of those units, you want to run the same attack code. Now, here's the thing. How do you do that? Well, you do that with a for loop. And just in case, you know, a basic attack can hit multiple targets, like in Dragon Quest, it's much easier to run a for loop, even if that list has only one object. It's much easier to cover for that now rather than writing code for that later. Again, I'm not sure if in the demo that I created for this particular step I've made it as a list. I guess we'll find out, or I guess you guys will find out. But the eventual outcome or the final product will be a for loop, right? That's our goal, is to make it a for loop. But like I said, because this section is so big compared to like the other bits that we've done before, we're going between all these different objects, running all this script. It will take a few videos and will take a bit of testing to do. All right, so let's move on. Let's keep going. We're almost done with this presentation. In the user event, right? User event 0, we are just going to do this. If you've ever seen a line of code like this, basically what it is it takes a bool. What this line does is it takes a boolean and it just flips it. Does it once. So if allow inputs is say false, and then we make it not allow inputs, it will make it true. Similarly, if it's true, it'll make it false. So all it does is it just flips the boolean. That's all it does. That's all that user event 0 does as well. Taking a look at user event 1 is it turns on or off the base UI. Right, so it checks if the base UI is visible, then it turns it off. Else, if it's invisible, it turns it back on. Okay. All right. Let's go to event 2. It's basically the same as the one above, except we're using target UI for this one. So it's checking to see if it's visible, turning it off, checking to see if it is not visible, and turning it on. Okay. So that's what those 3 events do. Literally just flips a bunch of flags around. All right then. Now let's move on to the units itself. So the first thing that we're going to need to add is the draw target variable. So because we are targeting, we need some visual feedback to be able to tell which unit it is that we are potentially going to attack. Now, for this to actually work, we need to add a collider for each of the actual objects that we spawn in. With the parent unit, we have a sprite for that, but the actual object that we spawn into the game is, for us, OPlayer. I think it's OPlayer. And so that particular object, the object that we actually spawn in, will need its own collider. Right, so we need to make sure that we assign that collider. All right, let's move to the next one down. In the step or draw event, you can do this check anywhere you want, but I think I'll keep it in the step event because that's where I have it in my demo. We're going to check to see if first we're targeting, and then if the selected unit is not no one. So if somebody is selected and if we are targeting, we're then going to check to see if this should be flipped, should be the other way around. So we're going to check to see if the mouse position is basically in contact with the actual unit itself, right? So we're doing a very basic collision check, and if there is a collision, we're going to set the draw target variable to true. And of course we need to actually see false, else draw target. Let's set that to false. I forgot that line there. Anyway, so that's all we need to do for checking to see whether or not we can target this unit or not. Okay. All right then. Let's go to unit draw, and of course, if we are draw target, then whatever sprite that we're going to draw, we draw for targeting. We're going to draw the targeting sprite. That's it. That's all it does. And that is the end of our theory video for this section. So targeting is fairly simple. It's the actual attack button or the attack menu itself that leads to targeting. That's what's going to take a bit of time. So I'm not sure how many videos this will take, but I'll do my best to keep it, 2 or 3. So yeah, if you have any questions, please do feel free to ask. If you guys haven't already, then please like and subscribe to the channel as well. Any suggestions for tutorials? I am planning a conversion series from GMS to Unity. Just for those who are interested. Doesn't mean that I'm going to start making exclusively Unity tutorials. I'm still going to make GMS videos. It's just for those that are interested. Some people have messaged me asking, how do I go from GMS to Unity? And so I thought I would do that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and hold on for the next one. See you guys later. Bye-bye.